Surprisingly, over 90% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. If you're enjoying the content, hit that subscribe button. It motivates us to keep creating and helps us never miss an upload, and you'll never miss a story again. My name is Marcus, and if someone had told me a year ago that my marriage would end with a single conversation in our kitchen, I wouldn't have believed them. I thought I had it all figured out. Good job, comfortable house, a stable marriage with a woman I'd spent nearly a decade building a life with. But the thing about comfort is that it can blind you. You start thinking that the people closest to you are just as content as you are. You assume silence means peace. You assume loyalty means love. You assume wrong. It started like any other Tuesday. I'd just gotten home from work. Nothing special. Just another long day. Traffic, meetings, the usual grind. Dinner was already on the stove. Lisa, my wife, stood at the counter stirring pasta sauce like everything was normal. I gave her a kiss on the cheek. She smiled, but it felt distant. The kind of smile you give a stranger on the sidewalk, not the man you married. Still, I didn't think much of it. I was tired, hungry, and honestly looking forward to just sitting on the couch after dinner. We ate quietly, small talk here and there. She asked about my day. I asked about hers. She said something about a podcast she'd been listening to lately, about relationships, boundaries, and modern love. I nodded, half paying attention. Then she said it. I think we should talk about opening the marriage. At first, I didn't respond. I just stared at her, trying to make sure I heard her right. Open the marriage? I asked, blinking. Like, seeing other people? She nodded casually. Too casually. I've been reading a lot, she said, and listening to couples who say it brought them closer, more honesty, more excitement. They explore with others, but their bond grows stronger. I stared at her, waiting for her to smile, to say she was joking. But her face stayed calm, serious. I think we've hit a rut, she added, as if that explained it all. We're not broken, but we're boring, routine, predictable. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This was my wife, the woman who used to say she only had eyes for me, the one who cried tears of joy when we bought this house, when we adopted our dog, when we took our anniversary trips. Now she was casually suggesting we bring strangers into our marriage like it was a gym membership upgrade. I put my fork down. How long have you been thinking about this? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She hesitated. A few months? A few months? I repeated. And you didn't think to talk to me until now? I didn't want to make it a big deal, she said. I wanted to do research, really think it through first. Think it through. She'd had silent meetings in her head about opening our marriage for months. While I thought we were solid, she was entertaining the idea of exploring others. I leaned back in my chair. Is there someone already? I asked. Someone you're interested in? She looked away for a moment. That was enough. I've had conversations, she said finally. Nothing's happened yet. But I've met people who make me feel alive. And I want to be honest with you instead of hiding it. That was her angle. Honesty. As if preparing the betrayal in advance made it less of one. I stood up and walked to the sink, my back to her. I wasn't angry. Not yet. Just cold. Numb. Marcus, she said, this isn't about replacing you. I love you. I always will. But I need more. And I think we could do this together. Set rules. Explore. I turned around and looked at her. And in that moment, I realized something important. She had already made her decision. She didn't come to discuss. She came to inform. The exploring would happen with or without my consent. That's when the anger came. Not loud, not violent, just sharp and clear. You have 1 hour to pack your things and get out, I said. She blinked. What? You heard me. This is not a conversation. You made your choice. I'm making mine. You want excitement? Go chase it. But not in my house, not on my time. Marcus. No, I said, holding up a hand. Don't beg. Don't spin this into a speech about growth. You had months to come to me. You didn't. You made plans, had conversations with other people, and now you want me to sign off on it. I won't. She stood, her face pale. You're being dramatic. No, I'm being decisive. She stared at me like she didn't recognize me, and maybe she didn't. Maybe she expected me to cry, to argue, to say, "Fine, let's try it." But I wasn't going to play the part of the patient husband while she explored excitement on someone else's lap. She left that night, packed 2 bags, and drove off to her sister's place. I sat on the couch afterward, the TV off, the house quiet. I thought I'd feel heartbroken. Instead, I felt relief. Because I hadn't lost my wife. She had lost me. Over the next few days, the silence settled into something calmer. She texted a few times. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. She wanted something different. She could have it. But she couldn't have me. I went back to work, kept to myself. A few coworkers noticed I was quieter than usual. I told them I was just tired. No one pushed. That was fine. About a week after she left, she showed up at the house. "I just want to talk," she said, standing on the porch, clutching a paper coffee cup like it was a peace offering. I let her in, sat across from her in the living room. "I didn't expect you to react like that," she said. "I thought we could talk it through." "You didn't come for a discussion," I replied. "You came to announce a decision. You just didn't expect mine to come so quickly." She sighed. "I'm sorry, Marcus, I really am. I wanted to be honest." I nodded. "So be honest now. Are you seeing someone?" She hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, it's new. Nothing serious." It didn't even hurt. That was the strange part. It just confirmed everything I already knew. "I didn't come to ask for you back," she said. "I know I messed that up. I just want us to end things with grace." "Grace?" I asked. "You want a graceful ending to a betrayal?" She looked down. "I deserve that." "No," I said. "You deserve the life you chose. Go live it." She left shortly after, quietly. No tears, no begging, just silence. In the following weeks, I began to rebuild. I changed the locks, cleaned out the closets, donated her old things, and I started planning something of my own. Not revenge in the traditional sense, but something more lasting. Because if she thought I would just fade into the background and let her write the story of what happened, she was wrong. I wasn't angry anymore. I was motivated. I would move on, level up, and show her what real peace looked like. Not the kind you find in new partners or podcasts. The kind you earn by walking away with your dignity intact. After Lisa left, I discovered how loud silence could be. There's something eerie about a house that used to be filled with small, familiar sounds. Footsteps in the hall, coffee brewing, a toothbrush humming in the bathroom, suddenly going quiet. For the first few days, that silence was the worst part. It wasn't loneliness exactly, just space I didn't know what to do with yet. But little by little, I found my rhythm again. I started with the small things. I changed the locks. Not because I was worried she'd return unannounced, but because it was symbolic. The house wasn't ours anymore, it was mine. Every inch of it now belonged to the man who refused to be someone's safety net while they chased excitement elsewhere. I boxed up her things, clothes, books, jewelry, and had them delivered to her sister's place. No angry note, no sarcastic goodbye. Just closure, neatly packed and labeled. Then I took a long look at myself. I hadn't changed much in the last few years. Same job, same schedule, same habits. And maybe that was part of the problem, not for me, but for someone like Lisa who grew bored when things stopped being shiny. But comfort isn't a flaw. Loyalty isn't boring. I just needed to realign. So I started making a list. Not a revenge list, an improvement list. Fix the backyard fence. Finally paint the home office. Start working out again. Consistently. Learn something new. Travel somewhere alone. And more than anything, rebuild my life on my terms. Meanwhile, Lisa kept her distance. We hadn't officially divorced yet. I figured that conversation would come soon enough. But there were no late-night apologies, no desperate texts. She had moved on quickly, just as I suspected she would. But what she didn't realize was that I had already started moving too. One Saturday afternoon, about 3 weeks after she left, I was at the local hardware store picking up paint samples when I ran into Brian, an old college friend I hadn't seen in years. He used to be part of our friend group before he moved to another city for work. We exchanged numbers and promised to catch up. A few days later, we grabbed lunch and the conversation turned to life updates. "So, you and Lisa?" he asked gently. "We're done," I said. He nodded. I heard something about her, didn't want to believe it, that she was, seeing someone else before it ended. Yeah, I said. She asked for an open marriage. I gave her an open door instead. Brian laughed, then caught himself. Sorry, that was cold but fair. No offense taken. We talked more. He mentioned he'd returned to the city recently after getting a promotion, working with a successful tech startup. By the end of lunch, he'd offered to introduce me to some of his contacts in the real estate development world. You've always been sharp, he said. If you're open to something new, I know a few people who'd want you on board. That night, I thought long and hard about it. I'd worked the same job for nearly a decade, stable, safe. But maybe Lisa was right about one thing. Routine had a way of turning into stagnation. I wasn't going to open my marriage, but I could open my life. Over the next few weeks, I leaned in. Brian connected me with people who saw potential in me. I updated my resume, took a few online certifications, and within 6 weeks, I had a new position lined up. Higher pay, more flexibility, and most importantly, room to grow. I also joined a fitness program, not because I wanted to revenge body my way through the breakup, but because I missed feeling energized. I started running again, cooking for myself, sleeping better, reading at night instead of doom scrolling through social media. I was becoming someone new, not out of spite, but out of necessity. But then, something unexpected happened. Lisa texted. It had been almost 2 months of silence when her name popped up on my phone. Lisa. Hey, can we talk? Not an argument, just talk. I stared at it for a while. I had no desire for closure. I didn't need apologies, but curiosity got the better of me. Me. What about? Lisa. Can we meet? Coffee? I agreed with clear boundaries. Public place. 1 hour. No drama. We met at a quiet cafe on a Wednesday afternoon. She looked tired. Not the glamorous, adventurous version of herself she had imagined. She had lost some weight. Her hair wasn't styled like usual. Her smile, when she gave it, was hesitant. Thanks for coming, she said. I nodded. What's on your mind? I made a mistake, she said. I thought I was doing something brave, trying something new, but I didn't realize what I was throwing away. I waited. Let her speak. I thought an open marriage would bring us closer. I thought I could explore and still come back to you. But I didn't understand how it would feel until you told me to leave. Lisa, I said carefully, you didn't ask to come back. You asked to test how far I would let you drift before I said enough. She looked down. I know. Silence sat between us for a while. Then she said, he wasn't who I thought he was. The guy I started seeing. He lost interest after a month, said I was too emotional, and after that, I didn't have anything. No relationship, no marriage, no peace. That's the price, I said, when you gamble on something that wasn't broken to begin with. I miss you, she whispered. I miss our life. I nodded slowly. I miss the version of you that would have fought for it. Her eyes glistened, but I wasn't there to rescue her. You look different, she said. Stronger. I am. Are you seeing someone? I smiled. No, but I'm seeing myself a lot more clearly now. She reached for her coffee cup but didn't drink. Would you ever consider trying again? That question used to live in my head like a ghost. Now it barely echoed. No, I said gently, because I don't trust you, and I can't love someone I don't trust. She nodded slowly. I deserve that. You do, I said, but I also deserve better. She didn't argue. We parted with a quiet goodbye, no hugs, no dramatic pleas, just a clear, final closing of a door that had been left cracked open for too long. And then came the part she didn't see coming. A few weeks after that conversation, I attended a networking event through my new job. Polished venue, local professionals, business cards exchanged like playing cards. I was introduced to an executive named Julia, a sharp, confident woman with a quiet sense of humor and eyes that didn't wander when she spoke to you. We talked about work, hobbies, life after difficult chapters. Turns out, she'd gone through a rough breakup a year prior. I stayed loyal until the end, she said. He didn't. But I'm glad I found out when I did. I understood that more than I could put into words. We didn't fall into anything right away. It started with lunches, then walks, then deep conversations without any pressure. It was the kind of connection built on respect, not escape. And while Lisa had chased thrill and ended up with emptiness, I had stayed still long enough to find something real again. But there was one final moment that tied everything together. It came on a random afternoon when I saw Lisa at the grocery store. She smiled and said hello. I nodded back. She looked into my cart, saw a bottle of wine and some fresh herbs. "Cooking for someone?" she asked. I smiled. "Yeah." Her face told the rest of the story. She had left looking for adventure. She found a dead end. And I, the man she walked away from, had built something stronger, not in revenge, but in renewal. Peace doesn't arrive like a thunderclap. It sneaks in through the small decisions, the quiet mornings, the honest conversations, the times you say no when it would be easier to say yes. That's how the final part of my story began. I didn't get revenge in the way movies portray it. There was no dramatic confrontation, no grand gesture meant to humiliate Lisa, no "look at me now" moment shouted from the rooftops. But what I found, in time, was something far more satisfying. Clarity, stability, and freedom. And as cliché as it may sound, I found myself. After that brief encounter with Lisa at the grocery store, I didn't see her again for a while. I heard from mutual friends that she had tried dating again, but nothing stuck. She moved into a small apartment across town, went back to school part-time, and, by all accounts, kept a low profile. I didn't wish her harm. I just stopped thinking about her altogether. I was too busy living. My job was going better than I ever expected. That new position Brian helped me land turned out to be one of the best things that had happened to me. I was surrounded by people who respected me, a team that actually valued my ideas, and leadership that gave me room to grow. It wasn't just a career shift, it was an identity shift. I finally felt like I wasn't just working to survive, I was building something. And there was Julia. We took our time, carefully, no pressure, just two people healing in each other's company. She never asked for explanations about my past, but she listened when I gave them. She didn't try to fix me, just sat beside me while I repaired what needed repairing. The first time I invited her over to the house, I was nervous. That house had been filled with old memories, echoes of Lisa, of a marriage that ended not with a bang but with a quiet betrayal. But when Julia stepped inside, she didn't treat it like a museum. She treated it like a fresh space. We cooked dinner together, chicken parmesan with roasted vegetables, and ate on the back patio while the sun dipped below the trees. Our dog, Max, lay by her feet like he'd known her for years. At one point, she reached across the table, touched my hand, and said, "I like it here." And for the first time in a long while, I did too. That night, I walked through the house and saw it differently. Not as the place where everything fell apart, but as the place where everything started again. The past didn't disappear, but it stopped chasing me. About 6 months after Lisa left, I got an envelope in the mail. It was from her attorney. Divorce papers. No surprise. No drama. Just a legal endpoint to what had already emotionally ended. I signed without hesitation, no bitterness, no need for a final word. It was done. Later that week, I hosted a small gathering, just a few close friends. Nothing fancy, just good food, music, laughter, a sort of housewarming party for a house I'd lived in for years, but only now felt like home. During the party, I stepped away for a moment to grab drinks from the kitchen. That's when I noticed it. A small photo album tucked away on the shelf above the fridge. I'd forgotten it was even there. I pulled it down and opened it. It was from years ago, early marriage days. Photos of Lisa and me at the lake, at family cookouts, at weddings. Smiling, arms wrapped around each other. Moments that had once felt permanent. I stared at one photo for a long time. Our first anniversary. We were in the backyard, holding sparklers. She was leaning against me, and I was laughing at something she'd said. It was a beautiful moment, and it was gone. But instead of sadness, I felt something else. Gratitude. Because now I understood something people rarely say out loud. Some chapters don't end because you failed. They end because you grew. I slid the album back onto the shelf. I wasn't going to destroy it or throw it out. That would mean I regretted everything. I didn't. Lisa had shown me what she valued, and in doing so, reminded me what I should never settle for again. The real revenge wasn't about tearing her down. It was about rising quietly. A few months later, I got a message from someone unexpected. Lisa's sister, Amanda. We'd never been particularly close, but she'd always been respectful. She messaged me on social media. "Hey, I just wanted to say, I've seen how you've moved on, with dignity, grace. Not many people could have handled what you did the way you did. Just know that it didn't go unnoticed." I thanked her and left it at that, because by then I didn't need validation. I was building something real again, not just with Julia, but with myself. A new routine formed, not out of necessity but choice. Morning workouts, evening walks, quiet Sundays with books and music, weekend getaways with Julia, backyard BBQs with friends, the kind of peace that can't be bought or borrowed. One evening, months into this new life, I sat outside with Julia under a soft sky, a glass of wine in hand. Max snored gently by the patio door. We were quiet, content. She looked over at me. "What are you thinking about?" I smiled. "How far I've come." She nodded. "You really have." "I lost everything," I said quietly. "And it gave me space to build something better." She leaned her head on my shoulder. "Then maybe you didn't lose anything at all." And maybe she was right. Because here's the thing about betrayal. It can break you, sure, but it can also shape you into someone sharper, wiser, more grounded. I don't hate Lisa. I don't even resent her anymore. She made her choice. And in the end, so did I. I chose to rise. Quietly, steadily, completely. And that, more than anything, was the kind of revenge no one could take away.